Greetings, everyone. This is Coach Toyin, author of Mindset of an Entrepreneur and host of Quantum Leap TV show. Today, I'm going to bring you a very powerful topic that, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a community leader, you're going to really find it extremely important, extremely useful. So, what I want to share with you is about increasing what I call your personal power to achieve greater impact, influence, and success in the world. So, when it comes to influence, when it comes to impact, when it comes to success, this is what lies beyond you, and you become the driver of what results you can get in the world. So I have a few things here for you to consider. Number one, there is no influence without impact. When we want people, humans, to take an action, to think about something, to consider something, when we have thoughts and ideas and visions of a greater tomorrow that we cannot just achieve by ourselves, but we want to bring people together to help us achieve it. So, whether you're a business owner, that you want to serve your community, you want to serve people with your product and services, with your talents, with your capacity, you will need to develop the skill of influence where people listen to you, consider your words, and make a decision to act because of what you shared with them. When people take action because they believe you, they trust you, and they understand that what you're sharing is going to impact them and provide positivity to them, that is where your influence lives in. However, to become influential, to become more impactful, it is connected to who you are, and unpacking your personal power is the force that allows you to drive influence and impact in the world. So there's no influence without impact. If you don't touch somebody else's life, if you don't drive meaning, if you don't help people see new things about the world, you cannot influence them, right? When you don't impact or shift people to consider what they're thinking about, I always say you can't think for people, but you can give them something to comprehend, right? To consider. And when they consider your words, does it change them? Does it move them to take action or a new decision, or to adjust their conclusion? That is driven by your own personal power. There's also no impact without transformation. If you leave people the same, if people remain the same after they've connected with you, after they've interacted with you, if nothing changes, that means you've not transformed them. If people remain the same, they're not energized, you don't help them believe something new, right? You're just sharing the same old, same old. That means there's no change in their inner world. That means you've not introduced a new thought, a new idea, a new insight that gets them to improve, right, the decision making process, how they make decisions, how they take action, how they adjust their own behavior. So this is something incredible that we all do to one another. When we have personal power, we're able to share our thoughts, we're able to get people to transform. So transformation is the result of driving impact. Today, many people are sharing information, but transformation is actually what we are seeking. New information, new insights that exposes our minds into new dimensions of elevation. There's also no transformation if you don't know how to empower people, if you don't know how to give people strength, if you don't know how to energize people, if you don't know how to make people believe again, if you don't know how to help people think again about something new and shift behavior, there's no transformation. Also, you can only influence people to the level of your own personal development, personal power, to the level of your own capacity. So if what you're doing right now is not driving the type of impact and influence you want, look in the mirror. It's time to look in the mirror and say, okay, what do I need to do to increase my own personal power? What do I need to develop? What new skills do I need to develop? What inner work do I need to go on? And I'm going to share 5 tips with you today how to increase your personal power. So you want to do more work on yourself because you can actually grow your power, grow your influence, grow your impact, and help expand the reach of your influence as well. So if you want to increase your impact in the world, you want to go on a journey to increase your personal power. So let me unpack what I mean by personal power, okay? So this idea that you are a force in the world, okay, that's the first thing, is that you have potential strengths that you need to unlock and activate towards achievement of a goal, towards achievement of a result, towards shifting the world. When you don't change the world, when nothing changes around you, it means you are not impacting your environment positively. It means you're there, but you're not influencing, you're not directing, you're not part of shifting culture in the direction you consider that is positively inclined for the people you do life with. And tendency is people who do not exercise their personal authority, personal power in this world, what I've found is that they tend to complain, because part of complaining is what I call complacency, lack of power, meaning you are not aware of the power you carry to actually influence the world you live in. So personal power is your ability to exert your will, and in a way, your way, right? How you see life or what you consider life to be. So it's your will, it's your way, it's your result, it's your action, getting people to buy into that, buy into your story of how things ought to be. It's also part of your leadership skill. Your will, your way, your thoughts, your actions, getting people to believe that there's power and there's potentiality and there's greater possibility for humanity, for your community, if they follow what it is you are presenting. So you need personal power to present your will, to exert your will, to present your way, your thoughts, how you think, right? What you think, how you think things should be done, why you think it ought to be done this way, right? Who, what, where, when, how. When you have thoughts and idea of a better way of achieving the result or a better direction that you want people to go on, that you believe would lead them to the right destination that pleases everybody and gets them the results they want, you need personal power to achieve that. And when you believe people are not listening to you, one of the symptoms of lack of personal power is when people get frustrated and they feel like nobody's listening, nobody's taking action, nobody's buying, nobody's clicking, nobody's following, right? Whatever frustration comes out of, right, you trying to get people to listen to you, to pay attention to you, to take specific action, and if what you're getting is crickets, then you need to do this inner work. Okay? So not everyone has developed a strong will, okay? Because part of the exercise of your will only is unlocked by trial and error, action, right? You learn the perfect way of doing things by eliminating what's not working. Okay? Innovation, creativity emerges when people understand that you're on a journey to figure out what's going to work, the way that things needs to be done to get you your results. And if it's not working, it means you've just eliminated what's not working at the very moment. So always being in search to test out new possibilities, new approaches, also helps you grow your personal power, because personal power is rooted in the knowledge of how things needs to be achieved, how to move the world. You really do need to know how to shift things. And the way you know is by action. Taking action, trying things out, right? And then exploring the world to figure out the way. That's how things have always been done. That's how innovation, how creativity is unlocked, how productivity is unlocked. For example, When you think about today's GPS, if you want to go from point A, you want to go on a journey, these days somebody has already tried what's not going to work and has optimized the way that would work. Fastest routes, right? Distance, shortest distance. Somebody figured out what works and shares it with the world. But in order for you to unpack what's going to work, how many attempts would you have to make on what's not working for you to actually know the direction to lead people on? So personal power grows when you keep taking action to unpack, to figure out what's going to work to get you the results. Don't give up because it's not working. Just realize that you've just eliminated what's not working. And I always say success is like a combination lock. That's why I developed a program called 30 Keys to Unlock Success, because you want to find which one works for you, which one works for them, the people you want to serve, which one works for the goals you want to achieve. And this is part of strategy as well. And also there's strategic communication in moving people, in communicating with people, in engaging with people, also unlocked in the human design, human intelligence classes that I teach in my school. So let me give you 5 specific ways to start growing and increasing your personal power. Number 1, increase your knowledge bank. Increase your knowledge bank. When people don't expand their knowledge, when you're using old knowledge, you get old results. When you want to get more results, better results, one of the things I encourage you to go on is to be in search of a new way of thinking, a new way of making decisions, a new way of approaching life, because knowledge unlocks greater power. Because when you know how to do things, you can exert your will, you can share your way, you can take better actions. So be a seeker of knowledge, because knowledge in the domain you want to drive impact and influence is what will help you achieve it faster. Ignorance, not knowing. You can be intelligent in one domain, be an expert in one domain, and in another domain that is new to you, you can be a novice, a beginner, an average, a professional, a master. This is one of the self-awareness I help my students unlock when they become an entrepreneur, because many people make assumptions that they know enough. And so when they attempt to achieve a result and they don't achieve the results, instead of looking into the mirror and saying, what do I need to know that I don't know? What do I need to develop skills that I have not developed skills on? And going on a journey to educate themselves ought to be the solution. When something is not working, it's because you don't have the knowledge, you may not have the skills, you may not have the clarity or have the direction on how to do things. So humans need to be educated, enlightened about how things work. Because if you know how things work, it's going to work. And if you don't know how things work, increase your knowledge bank, learn more, develop greater skills. Because many people know at the surface level, okay, but gold, diamond, silver, or all the precious things in life are hidden at the depths, and knowledge is the same way. And so many people stay on the surface of knowledge and they see stones and sticks and basic things. But the depth of knowledge is where you unpack greater wealth. Knowledge is your power. It gives you power to achieve results. Not basic, but depth of knowledge. The deeper the research, the more you unpack about how the world works. Don't stay on the surface, because surface knowledge gives you surface results. The moment you want to get richer, more wealth in this life, you have to go deeper into the wealth bank of knowledge. The second way to grow your power is what I call processing your emotions. You see, in the 4th dimension, so in my school, we talk about 3rd dimension, natural things you can touch with your and comprehend with your 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, right? Our taste. The fourth dimension is the energetic space where you tell stories, where you think, where you believe, okay? Where you unpack stories and the stories you want to act out, you want to see happen in the world. This is where strategy lives in. This is where execution is done in the third dimension, but strategy is how you think, what you know, what you consider. This is the realm of wisdom, of understanding. And so in that world, many things can happen that entangles people, that's then leads them to confusion, doubts, unprocessed emotions. And the way I explain unprocessed emotions are stories you started, you didn't complete with peace. You didn't complete with calm. You didn't complete with knowing, right? Arriving at a destination that pleasures you, that you agree with. So whenever you attempt to do something and you didn't see the result, that's an incomplete story because you're still searching, you still have questions unanswered. And what happens to humans a lot is that we open a lot of stories in our story bank that we don't close up. Childhood stories, who did what, that you haven't brought to a place of peace. And what happens energetically is that they take your power, they keep using your power in your subconscious, okay, still waiting for you to complete them. So a lot of people's power, energy is connected and tied up in unprocessed emotion. And one way to explain it is if you are using your computer and you have 10 tabs open. Here you have Google, here you have Facebook, you're doing so many things. You may think your computer can handle it, but at some point it starts slowing your computer. I always say you cannot quantum leap dragging the baggage of your past, dragging unprocessed emotions, opening your tabs. They slow you down. They get people into an emotional state that is unhealthy and steals power away because each of those tabs, they are using up resources, your computing resources, all of the energetic, right, power that you need to achieve a goal. If they are tied up in negative thoughts, negative stories, oh, who did this, you may think you're walking away from it, but in your subconscious, they've been allocated energetic resource, and the stories are still actively being processed, whether you are sleeping or awake, they're still there. So one way of releasing greater personal power is to slow down enough to listen to the thoughts your mind is trying to present to you that needs your attention for completion. That's emotional processing. And when you do enough of that every single day, when you close the tabs and you refresh, you wake up the next morning with greater force to drive greater impact in the world. And when you don't, people wake up tired, not inspired, not motivated, and that is not the place you want to be. So processing your emotion releases more power and energy for you to drive results in the world. Another way, third way of growing your personal power is to create more positive outcomes. You see, whenever you're right, when you're a business owner, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a community leader, even pastors, right, when you're doing big things, oftentimes you exert a lot of power to move and shift and inspire and motivate people. There can be a lot of struggle in that process. And one way of detaching from that part is to shift yourself into doing things that energizes you, that raises your vibration into a positive state. And one of the best things you can ever take up is an hobby. Something you naturally love doing that energizes you, doesn't take your power away because you're giving your power every day, right? You're exerting yourself, you're doing things for people, you're spending your energetic currency every day, you're giving people strength, power, courage, you're using it up. One of the ways of refueling, bringing yourself back to a positive state, is to actually have things you know that if you do, brings you a higher vibration, feeds you, right? You are feeding people as an entrepreneur. You are taking care of business. You're taking care of other people's needs. You're serving your clients and customers. You're serving your community. That means you're spending yourself. One way of increasing your personal power is to fuel, how you fuel yourself. And one way is to do something you enjoy, something you love doing, something that brings you joy and happiness naturally. So I want to encourage you to find that out, because every day if you're spending yourself, you're depleting your energy bank. How do you refuel? You need to know how to step away from that world that takes your power, that you use your power to push, to drive impact, to drive influence. One of the ways of increasing your power is to do something that is creatively positive. You can take on gardening, you can do handiwork, whatever it is that pleasures you. Just make sure it is something that brings joy and happiness to your world, because that's refueling your tank. It makes you keep going. Because when people shift into negative alone, it leads them into an imbalance of depletion. And that's where the hustle culture is. That's where people get drained, stressed. Stress lives in, driving life with negative energetic vibration. You want to balance it out to really be more happier. So when you show up to the world, you have more to offer the world as well. Number 4, this one is kind of interesting. I say stop complaining. Because complaining is kind of like, when you look at the screen and the screen says loading and it's not doing anything, right? Right? When people go into the complaining mode, it's like you're loading, meaning you're generating energy, you're talking about something that is not working, that you don't like, you're fueling, you know, and you're loading and loading, you're loading, but no action is being taken, right? No impact is being had. You're not exerting your force to shift things. You're just consuming energy and you're going nowhere. It's like running on a treadmill. At least treadmill will help you lose weight. No, complaining is complacency. Nothing changes when people complain. They use energy, you consume energy complaining, but you don't get any results while you're complaining. So stop complaining. It's noise in the system. It consumes a lot of your energy, a lot of your power, and it then leads to frustration, all of those things. Because guess what? The result is still not here, right? So stop complaining. Start doing something positive. Start engaging with people. Start talking to people. Attempt to learn the ways other people have overcome those challenges. Start gathering inspiration, so that you can then learn what you can do about what you think you cannot do anything about. Because again, it's back to knowledge. If you can access knowledge of other people that have been in similar situations, then suddenly you can inspire and motivate yourself and redirect your energy towards progress. Complaining hijacks people's energy towards hibernation. It's just loading. It doesn't do anything to move people forward. Finally, the 5th one I want to share with you today is to give your power away. One of the ways of increasing your personal power to drive greater impact, influence, and success in the world is actually to transfer your power to other people, to share what you know, help other people know more, help other people believe more, help other people take more action. And soon enough, there is a currency bank in the world. You will be refueled by the world God created. You will gain more energy, more inspiration, more, right? You will actually grow. There's just this process of when you sow your seed, it comes back and multiplies. Is that your influence and impact on other people's life actually makes you more powerful. Many people want to hoard power or take power away. No. When you give power, you become surrounded by empowered people, and together you can do greater things. Wouldn't you rather be surrounded by equally powerful people so that you can drive greater impact in the world? But if you take people's power away and you're the only one that has power, everybody's weak, you're your own. So one of the greatest strengths of leadership is making sure you empower your people, you give them strength, you give them courage. In fact, that is the number one duty of a leader, to grow the power of other people you're serving, to empower them to gain clarity, more knowledge, to teach them what you know so that they can do the things that you are doing and even greater than you. That's the real test of leadership, because if you become that person, then everybody's looking for you. You don't have to search for clients and customers, because everybody is looking for someone to empower them, to give them strength, to help them believe. Because one of the things I teach in entrepreneurship, everybody needs more knowledge, more ability to believe, more direction, more instruction, more capabilities, more skills. And if you can tie your business to any of these things, you'll be doing just fine. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Quantum Leap. I'm your host, Toyin Umesiri. In my school, my students call me Coach Toyin. We're growing a movement of highly empowered business owners that is going to drive success in the world, grow wealth at home and internationally. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.